As an artist, one thing I hear often from my contemporaries is how much unfinished work they have sitting around, canvases left incomplete and collecting dust. I have a few of those myself. In my opinion, when we allow work to remain unfinished, especially without any clear deadline, whether external or self-imposed, it becomes a breeding ground for bad habits. Over time, this doesn't just leave us with an incomplete painting. It fragments our focus. It encourages us to start multiple pieces without finishing any, and it chips away at our confidence when we realize we have little to show for all of the effort we put in. And perhaps most importantly, it prevents us from embracing the grind that defines what it truly means to be a prolific artist. This piece was created not only to raise awareness for this problem, but to explore practical solutions, whether that means creating internal deadlines, committing to one piece at a time, or making it a priority to return to older works and bring them to completion before beginning something new. As a point of emphasis, this problem isn't unique. As a matter of fact, many artists suffer from the same struggle. The more we normalize talking about it, not in a complacent way, but in a constructive one, the more we can actually begin to finish our work. This tendency often arises when we have no defined deadlines, and any unfinished work soon becomes habitual. While stepping away can sometimes give a piece room to breathe and allow for fresh eyes, this habit can also severely undermine our growth, confidence, and productivity. The purpose of this is to spread awareness, provide practical solutions, and encourage discipline as part of the artistic identity. Much like art itself, unfinished work is rarely about talent. More often, it stems from fear of failure or of ruining a promised piece. It's a barrier we all face. I would even go as far as to call it a form of art block. The second guessing, the hesitancy we feel is comparable to a golfer's swing, unable to follow through. Instead of working through it, we reset and take another swing. As we move deeper into the rough and ugly stages of the creative process, we begin to lose the excitement that came with starting the piece. We start to crave that initial spark again, and that craving pulls us into a cycle of beginning new pieces, slowly forgetting what we originally set out to create. In many ways, this becomes addictive. The excitement of starting a new work clouds our judgment and distracts us from finishing what we've already begun. The result is a pattern of many beginnings and very few completions, which ultimately hinders our productivity. The real damage isn't just the unfinished painting, it's the habits formed around it. When we fail to complete our work, we don't just lose confidence, excitement, or motivation. We also lose opportunities to develop technically. Returning to the golfer analogy, you can practice your stance or your setup, but without the follow through, the swing is incomplete. In art, the same applies. The most critical technical growth often happens in the final stages of a piece. When our focus is fragmented, it shows in the work, just as in life. When our attention is divided across too many things, our goals become diluted. As an artist, we must learn to dedicate ourselves fully to focus on one goal at a time and allow momentum to carry us forward. When people ask me how I've become so prolific as a painter, my answer is simple. I work on one piece at a time until completion. Typically, I finish the year with over 75 completed works, roughly one every 4 to 5 days, and even that is something I continue to push myself to improve. You don't grow from starting, you grow from finishing. There are a few myths about inspiration and creation that many of us fall into. One of the most common is the belief that we have to wait for inspiration to strike. In reality, it's the opposite. Once we begin to create, inspiration follows. Discipline sustains and inspiration fades. Professional artists don't wait, they work. And through that work, the promise of an inspiring piece reveals itself. When hobbyists think about artists, they often imagine the glamour, sold out shows, beautiful studios, the recognition, and the money. But what they don't see is the labor, staying up until 4 a.m. to meet deadlines that are internal or external, practicing relentlessly, applying over and over again, and enduring rejection. The grind is certainly not glamorous, but it is necessary. Creativity is strengthened through repetition and completion, not just through the aesthetics of being an artist. If you believe you'll never be disciplined enough, you will fail. But discipline, like art, is not just a talent. It is a skill that can be built intentionally. The first step is to set realistic completion targets, trying to finish a piece in a week or two if you have a full-time job. This is just the beginning, a way to prove to yourself that's achievable and to build confidence. Treat your personal deadlines with the same seriousness as external ones. If you want art to be your career, you must hold yourself to that standard. Work on one piece at a time at most. Allow yourself to, but give them your full undivided attention. Focus strengthens your execution, and limiting your workload reduces the fragmentation of your priorities. One of the hardest but most important steps is to return to old work and finish it before starting anything new. To push yourself, consider this idea. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. In other words, tackle the hardest piece first. Finishing it will give you the confidence boost you need to keep going. Creating internal deadlines, setting realistic expectations, and committing to completion are essential. In today's world, giving a task your full attention is increasingly difficult. Our reward system has been hijacked by social media and constant entertainment. Even music can become a distraction. There's an idea that without great solitude, no serious work is possible. And while that may sound extreme, there is truth in it. If you believe in your potential, you must take your process as serious as you can. One important question remains, what does it actually mean to finish a painting? Sounds like Jordan Peterson. At first, this can feel vague, but for me, a piece is finished when nothing more can be added without weakening its meaning. There comes a point where the work no longer needs to be worked, when the emotion, intention, and image are fully aligned. Beyond that point, additional changes often become distraction. Establishing standards of completion is essential. Personally, once my work is varnished and properly hung, it is a sealed deal. That is the definition of finished for me. Without a clear standard, we risk endless revisions and never truly completing anything. Being prolific isn't about speed, it's about completion. Finishing builds confidence. Finished work creates momentum. Momentum creates identity. Identity creates discipline. A prolific artist isn't someone who starts often, it's someone who finishes often. Finishing your work is part of honoring your craft. Every unfinished piece represents lost potential. Finishing strengthens not only your discipline, but your self-trust. It reinforces the belief that you can see something through from idea to execution. The act of finishing is an act of respect, both to your work and to yourself and to the viewer. So here's the challenge. Return to one unfinished piece and finish it. Because the difference between an artist who dreams and an artist who grows is the one who finishes.